one of the things that Dad taught us and taught me was that don't take what is not yours. Don't steal. What is not yours is not yours. And when I got into public service, I was not afraid of the Anti-Corruption Commission. I was afraid more of my dad because I could hear his voice echo in my ears.
Don't take what is not yours.
Don't take what is not yours. Don't steal. So I was more reminded about what Dad taught me from very young age, more than the Anti-Corruption Commission, which came much later, and found that I already had this lesson from Dad. Don't take what is not yours. And I can share this with you, that when I left the council unceremoniously, for some reason I've never left a job, ceremoniously. I left the council unceremoniously because the minister had to suspend the council so as to get rid of me, because I differed a lot with the Benimwinga over is trying to use me, in activities that I didn't agree with, and I'm being polite. So I then left the council, and the Benimwinga's minister was very convinced that they would catch me left-footed. So what he did was he commissioned a group of auditors to go to Lusaka City Council and go and audit the council for the period that I was in the council, and also audit my imprest account. And when they went back to him and said that we have found zero against this guy, he says, no, I can't believe you. So there were some volunteers, that 2 British guys that were doing, that come under British aid. So they were at local government and they were auditing, He sent them to the council to go and audit, They still came back with the same report. We have found zero against this guy. And Benimwinga was shocked. But he didn't know that during that period, I could hear Mr. Kabimba's voice in my ear. Don't steal. Don't take what is not yours. I said the same thing when I left PF. Okay, amid celebrations that were.
You're aware that people celebrated?
Yes, because I know that all those celebrations were sponsored.
Okay.
Yeah, and I can see that those who sponsored the celebrations today are regular visitors in courts, and in Chimbwakaira. I meet them when I go to see some of my friends in Chimbwakaira. Those who sponsored those celebrations and made me, to make me look bad and to make them look, angelic. That I was the one who was bad and they were good people, and they're the ones that cared more about this country and stuff like that. Posterity always vindicates the innocent. So when I left, this is a statement which I made. I said, you can go to the Minister of Justice. And I said, Given has taken over as Minister of Justice. But I can tell you that you won't find not even a small piece of paper like this, or as evidence that I ever took something that was not mine. Okay? When I went to the Ministry of Justice, I bought my own office furniture.
Your own?
Yes, my own. I bought my own office furniture, except for the table. And I took an inventory. I told the PS to take an inventory of that. And when I was fired, I went and reclaimed my furniture.
You took back the furniture?
I took back my furniture. I'm not rich enough to donate to government. So I took back my furniture. I told them, you can now take back your the furniture that I found. If somebody else comes and they accept that is fine. So that's really the background. You know, I had these values from Dad, and I really remain indebted to him even in his death. Yeah.
Glad to hear that, President Kabimba, because a few weeks ago I also saw you at your farm. I've forgotten the name of the farm. Mutumbi Farm. And one of the things you are saying is that I worked for these things that I have now.
Yeah.
And that's why even law enforcement officers cannot find anything on me. What's the importance, even before we get into the meat of the conversation, what's important? Because one of the things we see politicians, when they're in the office, you know, there's glamour and everything, but once they leave, like you've said, they become regular visitors at the Anti-Corruption Commission, at the correctional facilities. What makes people to begin to take advantage? Is there some power that is in the offices that makes it easy for people to steal public resources?
It's greed. You know, human beings are by nature greedy and never get satisfied about what they have. Okay, and power is very tempting. Okay, I remember the old man Mundia Skatana every time saying to me, do you know something that I'm so much afraid of? And one day we were standing at the High Court, and I said, no, he says power. He says, I'm so afraid of power. You know, Mundia Skatana had this instinct that power can destroy you. And power has destroyed many people in history. Okay? So when people get into power, they lose values. That is hoping that they had them. And they also think that they'll be in power ad infinitum. They also lose the sense of accountability, the value, you know, that this is a public office and I'm accountable to the people. Paul, if you went around the ministries, I'm not very sure about now, but during my time and when I was in the council, and you see the relationship between ministers and PSCs and directors, I mean, you would just weep. There are some ministers that are so terrible to their PSCs. There are some PSCs that are so terrible to their directors that they think they're omnipotent, they think they're everything. And nobody in the ministry should cross their path. Nobody should try to advise them. And what happens when you wear that kind of character, you alienate people, so they leave you alone. They don't want to speak to you. Okay, and they know that the day of reckoning will come. So it is that kind of thing. Let me give you this example. I walked into my office as Minister of Justice one day, and my secretary then said to me, there's an envelope for you on the table. And I found an envelope, I think it was 40 million kwacha then. And the voucher attached read, being sitting allowance. So I called my secretary. I said, who brought this envelope? She said, the PS. I said, get me the PS here. So the PS came, and I said, what is this check for? And she said to me, you are a member of a committee which is in the ministry here. So that is the money which is paid to you, is due to you as a member of the committee. I said, but this voucher says this is sitting allowance. He said, yes, your predecessor used to get it. I said, but I've never attended any meeting. How can I be paid 40 million kwacha for having attended no meeting? And she said, well, that's what used to happen with your predecessor. I said, no, it is wrong. So I called the PS. I said to the PS, take this check and get it cancelled. I will not take this money. She went to the accounts department, and the chief accountant came and said to me, we can't cancel the check.
Because?
The rules don't allow. We have already paid you. So I said, okay, what I'll do then, here's what I'll do. I said, I'll deposit this check in my account, okay, and I'll give you my personal check. So I wrote a personal check for 40 million kwacha payable to the Minister of Justice. So when that check matured, I told them, deposit my check.
40 million kwacha?
Yes, 40 million.
Sitting allowance?
Yes, sitting allowance.
Not 40,000, 40 million.
Oh, it was a million that time.
Then, yes,
Before we rebased.
Yes.
Before kwacha was rebased. So, and the PS was surprised how I could do that, because it had been done like that before. Okay, it was wrong, and they thought that I should continue that wrong. So I used to say to my colleagues in PF, that some of these things we are doing are wrong. Okay, but I used to see this overall excitement, in them, that they were now in power. I remember one day in a cabinet meeting saying, why are we debating this matter? Because we condemned the MMD for doing it. Why was it wrong then, and today it seems to be right? I thought it was wrong then, it's supposed to be wrong even now. And that's what earned me some of the enemies in PF. Because up to today, Paul, I can challenge anybody that served with me in PF. Nobody can say that I'm corrupt. Nobody.
No one can claim that.
No one can claim that. No one can claim that. GBM, who claimed that he had a dossier on me about my corruption, has never produced that, And I'm glad that it was him in the end who was found to be corrupt and actually convicted. Okay? I'm actually glad.
You're actually glad?
I'm actually happy. I'm actually happy that between him and I, it was proven that the GBM was corrupt. He was given a fair trial with evidence proving that he was corrupt, convicted by a competent court or tribunal, locked up, fell sick there. Because all these corrupt people are not strong for some reason. Okay? And he must thank the president that he was granted a pardon. But the record still remains that between him and I, he was the one who was corrupt. But when you see how he wanted to dent my name, that I was the one who was corrupt. So that is the story.
Interesting, and hoping that the upcoming, even those serving in government, those yet to join.
I hope they learn a lesson.
They're learning lessons.
I hope they learn lessons, and avoid falling into the same pit. Okay, the evidence from PF is enough for anybody who is reasonable to learn lessons from others. Do
you think the UPND are learning lessons?
I hope they have learned, or I hope they are learning. If they haven't learned anything, then I can assure you that they will walk with the same path. One day. One day. Because what is wrong is wrong. Doesn't matter the period of time. What is wrong is wrong. Okay? And the Nigerians have a saying, wealth will always find its way back to its true owners. Okay? So the wealth you accumulate illegally unlawfully, you can't keep it.
To find its way back to the owner.
To walk back to its true owners. And that's what we are seeing now. The mansions that they have built, they are walking back, to their true owners. So I hope colleagues in the UPND are learning lessons. You don't have to go through that if there is a clear lesson for you from PF. And PF has given us very good lessons. That's why I don't agree with anybody who says, they are being persecuted. No.
You don't agree with that notion?
No. I saw it myself, and I warned them myself.
So they're not being persecuted?
No.
It's a law just doing it.
When you listen to these battle cries, that people are being, and their church is being unfair, to this. No, it's because of regionalism, No. I don't agree. I was in PF myself. I saw it in PF. I saw people that walked into PF with nothing. Absolutely nothing. Not even a Corolla. And within a year, some of them were not even ministers. They just gave them a chairmanship of a board. How can the chairmanship of a board, non-executive chairman of the board, make you rich? If a minister cannot be made rich by that office, how can chairmanship of a board make you rich? How can being chairman of a board make you buy a farm without a mortgage, without a loan from the bank? Okay? And I'm surprised that some of them are still working free.
You're surprised?
I'm surprised that UPND's machinery, is so limited.
Really?
Yes.
Many think the opposite.
No. In fact, if I were president, what HH should have done is to actually declare an amnesty, and then say those that have evidence, a commission of inquiry type, those that have evidence against anybody should come over and give that evidence. You'd have seen how many drivers, how many secretaries of these guys would have gone to offer evidence as to how most of the people that are working free today were corrupt.
But this corruption, President Kabimba, what brought its growth in the Patriotic Front? Is it the top leadership that permitted it? Is it the systems that were weak? Because one would want to believe the systems are also strong enough to prevent people from, pilfering public resources. But also maybe the top leadership could also permit it. What could have went wrong?
What I saw, excuse me, what I saw in PF was that the top leadership permitted it. Yeah, the top leadership permitted it. Africa is more about the leader than the institutions. We are the complete reverse of the West. In the West, the institutions are stronger than the individuals. Okay? In Africa, the individuals, excuse me, in the position of president, minister, like I've said, become stronger than the institutions. And that's a tragedy of Africa. That's a tragedy of my country, Zambia. Okay? So, because of that is, nobody is held accountable by the institutions. And when you have a leader and a crop of leaders that wants to act with impunity, then you are in trouble. Then you are in serious trouble. So it's actually the leadership. I saw it myself.
You were in the top leadership. You permitted it. You were SG of the party. You permitted it.
Well, I'll tell you, that is the main reason why people had to fight me. Okay? Because I just couldn't approve of it myself. I'll give you an example. Mr. Sata allowed his ministers to travel with their spouses. The minister is going on government business, and he gets authority from the president that he wants to travel with his spouse. Okay? And he would grant that. As far as I'm concerned, he didn't even have the powers to grant that request. He didn't have the powers. Because can you imagine, what does the voucher read for Mrs. Kabimba, for example, in the Ministry of Justice? That she is coming with me as what? Doesn't. The only person I think permitted to do that is the president. And ministers used to do it. They knew it was wrong, but the president was permitting it. The president knew it was wrong, but he had to prove that he is president. So one time I traveled myself abroad. When I came back, Mr. Sata asked me, "Did you go with your wife?" I said, "No." He said, "Next time you must go with your wife." I said, "No, it is wrong."
You told him?
I told him.
It is wrong.
I told him it is wrong, and I know that some of your ministers are doing it, but it is wrong. The 1 week when I acted as a president, one of the ministers, I'll not give his name or name him, wrote to me
as acting president,
for authority to travel. And he included in the letter, "I'm traveling with my wife." I wrote back to him and said, the answer is no. Your wife can't travel with you. If you want, you can wait for the president to come back and resubmit your request. I turned it down. I don't know what happened after that. Why? It was wrong. But Mr. Sata was permitting it. And everybody accepted that a wrong had become a right. So everybody that worked with me, whether in the council, whether in the Ministry of Justice, in the government, in the party, they knew my values, that wrong is wrong, right is right. Full stop. And because society ideally and generally is not about good people. Okay? There's I think is Plato or one of the philosophers who said, you can't have a strong character and lead an easy life, because one is the cost of the other. Okay? So if you want to do right, don't expect to lead an easy life. Okay? If you want to lead an easy life, then you should not have character. You should not have values about what is right and wrong. Then you have cheers, But if you want to do right, nobody will cheer you. So, because society, invariably celebrates wrong. You see it even now. That the little that the HH is trying to do to put this country right in terms of political morality, corruption, and they are completely diverting the guy from that and dwelling on other things. They want him out. Why do they want him out? Not because he's doing the right, the wrong thing, so that they can come in and do the wrong things. Okay? They actually miss ECL.
Because of that?
Yes, because that was another leadership that was weak.
Oh, you believe ECL was weak?
Oh yeah, very weak. Very weak. He was a very weak leader. In fact, to me, that was the worst part of his presidency. He was a very weak leader.
What makes you say that?
Because of the thing that went on around him. Because of the things, that went on around.
Many said no, he was a good leader, but surrounded by wrong people.
No. This theory about wrong people, right people, there's a philosopher again who said, the intelligence of a leader is judged by the people around him. So if you want to judge the intelligence of the leader, look at the people around him. Okay? So it has nothing to do with because after all, you choose the people around you. They are not imposed on you. You choose them. Okay? In the United States, they've got a statute. It's called the Pendleton Statute of 1883. It prohibits appointment of cronies. Okay? Says you can't appoint your cronies, your friends, and whatever. And it makes an exception, except for those that work in the White House. Because the ones that work in the Oval Office, the president must choose himself. He must not be, prevented by law, to do that. So the president chooses who works with him inside the State House. So when you look at the crop, you can tell, what type of direction the president wants to take. Okay? So the corruption just got magnified beyond the Sata's boundaries.
Not that Sata's was worse than this year.
No. ECO was worse than Sata's year. Sata tried. You remember he fired Ronald Chitotela and Roger Smuewa for corruption. They were both deputy ministers. At least he tried to show that he abhors corruption. In fact, the word that he used was, I'm allergic to corruption, which in my view was not even true. Okay? But at least he tried. He fired these two for corruption. Okay? I don't think that Edgar had the stamina to fire people for corruption, because he would have ended up with no cabinet if he had done that.
Because the majority of them were corrupt?
Because the majority of them were corrupt. Majority of them are doing the wrong thing. Okay? That's the truth of the matter.
Can we say the same about the current president? He has the stamina to fire wrong people?
I think HH has the stamina. Look, if you are going to make comparisons, there's even no comparison between HH and the ECL. There's no comparison.
The gap is too much.
The gap is too much. HH is sober, like me, doesn't drink.
That's not a yardstick, President.
No. My father used to tell us, go around in the village. Whoever you find with bloodshot eyes is a drunk. And look at their pairs of trousers. When you look at them and have patches Vigamba, they are drunks. And he used to tell us, there's no drunken man who can look after his life properly. Sorry if you drink, but I'm telling you about Mr. Kabimba. So I got that from my father. Okay? So there's no comparison between the two. There's no comparison between the two. HH is sober, and serious-minded when you engage him. He's serious-minded. He may not have the experience, but sobriety, that you must give to him. A sense of discipline, that you must give to him. And all these were absent in ECL.
Maybe you're being too harsh on ECL.
No. I know I live in a culture where, you should talk good about dead people. But if the dead people left bad behind, we have to talk about them. Okay? And Shakespeare cautions us very well. The evil that men do lives after them. And the good is interred with their bones. Sorry that ECU has not been interred yet. Okay? So I find some of even these reminiscent comments, that come, from all walks of life, including the church, that things are worse now than they were under ECAO. They shock me.
You don't agree with that thought?
No. Unless somebody says they used to eat with ECAO and now they are not eating, then they can convince me, because then they have to declare personal interest. Okay? That, look, I'm suffering now. I can't do the wrong things that I was doing. I can't get free money that I was getting from ECAO, and I can't get it from this man. If that is your position, then you are right. But to make a comparison that the ECAO administration was better than this administration, whether
in every front,
whatever front, pick any front for me. Pick any front for me.
Infrastructure. Someone has said he was the father of infrastructure.
Oh, that is, the infrastructure. This is the thing. This infrastructure was actually commenced by Michael Sata. I drafted Michael Sata's speech to Parliament in 2012. Remember, the elections were in
2011.
In 2011. September, and in October. In fact, the opening of Parliament was delayed to November. I'm the one who drafted the speech, Michael Sata's first speech to Parliament, single-handedly. And I sat down with him, I remember, at his house on Omero Mumba Road, and he was telling me, what we do, Winter? We must open districts and provinces in this country, and we need roads. And he sat there and he said, I want this to be included in the speech. The road from point A to point B, the road from C to D. At one time I said to him, you speak about these roads, it's as if you are traveling on them now. He said to me, I've traveled on these roads and I have got this picture in my mind. So the vision about infrastructure development in this country, as we see it, was Michael's vision. It was never ECAO's vision. The borrowing that which put us into the abyss of debt that we are talking about today, from the Eurobond, Michael Sata wanted to borrow for infrastructure development. So anybody who tries to credit this to ECAO, they are lying. They are distorting the truth, and they are distorting history.
Maybe we should credit him for implementing that vision.
Maybe for implementing, part of that vision. Yes, but to say that he originated it, no, he didn't have the capacity to originate such an idea.
He didn't have the capacity.
No. I'm being honest with you. Okay. Look at PF. I can tell you, I set up the NPPR myself, the National Project for Poverty Reduction, as SG, registered it as an NGO. The Chinese bought into that idea. Okay? Began to finance it. It was to train 500 youths, 50 from each province every year. And the Chinese said, in the vocational training colleges, the 10 of them across the country. And the Chinese said, we are going to increase these numbers as we go. I set it up. When I left PF, they ran it down. If you went to where that institute was, you would cry. One of my guys in the party now, I was laughing because he said, do you know the propaganda after you left? They said you had stolen all the computers and all the sewing machines, and everything. I said, why didn't they report me to the police? I set up the Police Monitoring and Research Center.
Oh, PMRC.
PMRC. I set it up myself. It was my brainchild. Single-handedly. got it registered, appointed Margaret Mwanakatwe, and the group, as the board of governors. And I said to Mr. Sata, I would like the board of governors, or I'm recommending that the board of governors be composed of non-PF members. Let's make it autonomous. That's what brought Margaret Mwanakatwe into politics, as chairperson of that board of governors. And now the PMRC, where is it? Is part of the Ministry of Finance as the research center. Okay? Now, I can challenge anybody as you bring people, to this program, especially the PF ones. Let them tell you just what they did outside the routine, thing of getting into the ministry and coming out, getting into the ministry. What else did they do for this country? Nothing. What new thing did they bring beyond what they found in the ministry where they were? Okay? So, leadership is important. And the tragedy of Africa, I go back to this point, is that because leaders are stronger than the institutions, they create a culture of impunity. Because the ministers learn this from the president, and they think they should act the same in the ministries. Okay? So, what is the way forward then? And that's where it comes to your constitutionalism. Though the Constitution alone, as a piece of paper, is not what is going to resolve our problems.
It's not.
No. I hear people talk about democracy, the rule of law, independence of the judiciary, constitutionalism, no. When they were debating the Constitution of India in 1946 to 1949, it took 3 years to debate the Constitution of India. What type of India the Indians wanted after they had thrown out the British, who didn't want to leave India. During the debate in the Constituent Assembly, one of the delegates said, the people that are going to implement this constitution must be just as good as the constitution. Because even if you had a bad constitution, but you had men and women of honor and integrity, they will still make that bad constitution work. His name was Dr. Prasad in the Constituent Assembly. And I think I subscribe to that argument. Okay? That what makes society run are not the laws that we put on paper. It's the men and women that feel bound by those laws and implement them accordingly. You can get the best institution if the American Constitution is the best and give it to a rogue of a leadership in Africa. It will still not work. It will still not work. So I sit back as I listen to everybody talk about, oh no, democracy. Oh no, the space is shrinking, democracy. Oh no, freedom of expression, freedom of speech, freedom of assembly. And therefore we need a good constitution. It won't work. It won't work. If justice is not etched on the hearts of men. I believe that justice is not something that you learn at the university or in school. It's something that you learn in your family. That if I see you poor being unfairly treated, it must worry me. Because you deserve to be fairly treated. And it won't matter whether I know you, whether you are my friend, or you are not my friend.
Let me pick your thoughts,
okay?
President Kabimba. Let me pick your legal thoughts on key argument that many have put on the table around the Constitution amendment process right now, which is the talk of the country. We've seen the committee, led by Mshawati, also submitting a report to the president. Sittings in the National Assembly have begun by a Parliamentary Select Committee. On Thursday, the Law Association of Zambia, which I want to believe you're a member of.
Yes, very proud member.
Very proud member of LAS, appeared before the committee and refused to comment on the content of the bill, claiming that there's a breach of the law because in the case of Munia Zulu and Celestine Mkandila, the court ruled itself on that matter. And I'd like us to, just for the benefit of the people that missed this part of the submissions by the Law Association of Zambia, just to replay what LAS President Lungisani Zulu said when he met the committee on Thursday.
But very saddened. We are saddened because the current process, Chair, is a representation of a serious threat to the national principles and values that the Constitution espouses in Article 8 of our Constitution. Under those salient provisions, Chair, democracy and constitutionalism are the pillar that makes Zambia a democracy. We are saddened because we sit here when the supreme law of the land has been interpreted, and the proceedings that we are doing today have been impugned by the Constitutional Court in a case of Munia Zulu and Celestine Mkandila. We feel saddened because according to the Constitution, any act, any omission that is contrary to the Constitution is itself illegal. As lawyers, Chair, you may wish to know that we begin our but very saddened. We are saddened because the current process, Chair, is a representation of a serious threat to the national principles and values that the Constitution espouses in Article 8 of our Constitution. Under those salient provisions, Chair, democracy and constitutionalism are the pillar that makes Zambia a democracy. We are saddened because we sit here when the supreme law of the land has been interpreted, and the proceedings that we are doing today have been impugned by the Constitutional Court in a case of Munia Zulu and Celestine Mkandila. We feel saddened because according to the Constitution, any act, any omission that is contrary to the Constitution is itself illegal. As lawyers, Chair, you may wish to know that we begin our journey as lawyers by taking an oath to defend, to preserve, and protect the Constitution. I want to stress that we feel duty-bound to represent the people of this country in defending the Constitution of the land. Why do I say so? Chair, in the aforementioned case of Celestine Mkandila versus Munia Zulu and Celestine Mkandila, the court, which is given final jurisdiction on matters of interpretation of the law, especially the supreme law of the land, did make a specific finding that the initiation of Bill 7, which at that time was contained in the ministerial position, flouted a number of provisions, including Article 1, Article 2, Article 5, Article 7, Article 8, Article 9, Article 61, Article 90, Article 91, and Article 92 of the Constitution of this land. The finding was that the initiation of the process must have benefited from the people. How? According to the express findings of the Constitutional Court, the beginning point was for government to appoint a neutral expert grouping, a technical committee that was required, first of all, to go and find from the people areas which they felt needed to be amended in the Constitution. Apart from finding from the people, the experts were required to also look through various submissions from previous constitutional review processes. Once that is done, the experts were required to frame the proposals into a bill. And once the bill...
Of course, that is Lars President Lungisani Zulu appearing before the Parliamentary Select Committee that is deliberating on Bill 7. They refused at all to comment on the content of Bill 7 because the conversation on Bill 7 has been invalidated by the court as far as Lars is concerned, as far as you lawyers are concerned. Is that the case? Do you agree with the position of Lars that we should not be talking about the contents of Bill 7 right now because the court already ruled that that process was flawed?
Yeah. I think the court pronounced itself on the process, not on the substance of the document or the terms of reference or the proposed amendments. And I think there is a huge difference between the two. The court, and rightly so, said, look, you can't have this program to amend the Constitution. Where are the people who are supposed to drive this process and own the product, the end product? And I think the court was right. I don't think that the court was seized with the pronouncing itself on each and every amendment proposed. No, those are not the issues before the court. The issue before the court was, can the government, can the Hakainde Hichilema government undertake the amendment of the Constitution by merely putting forward a bill to Parliament with amendments? And if you remember, before this process started, when excuse me, this thing was just mooted. Again, society was polarized. There were people that were saying, oh no, but the Constitution allows, that the president can just take amendments, and the Parliament is vested with powers to amend the Constitution. You don't need the process. You don't need anybody. People must just make submissions. That debate went on. So I think the court was pronouncing itself not on the substance, but on the process. Okay? In trying to comply with the court's judgment, a technical committee was set up. And the technical committee, in trying to fast track their work, instead of going around the country, in one group, they subdivided the technical committee. So, the committee to which I submitted did not have Chairman Mushabati there.
Wasn't there?
It wasn't there. Okay? And I think that's what the issue real, if you want to argue about the process, in my view, which becomes extremely subjective, is at what point would one say, now we've got the people? At what point do you say that?
That's a big question, actually.
That's a big question.
Yeah.
Okay? Look. Let's create an analogy here, just for logic's sake. There are 20 million Zambians. Okay? In 2021, the voters register had 5.3 million registered voters, somewhere in that neighborhood of that figure. We know from the results that only about 2.8 million that voted for UPND, 1 million that voted for PF, so 3.8, maybe 4, okay, out of the 5 point something million. The question that you'd ask is, are the 4 million the majority of Zambians to put in place a government? Are they the majority? The answer is no. So if one argued and said, but you left out 15 million people, this can't be a government. And 15 million, even in arithmetic, is a bigger figure than 4 million. Logically, they would be right. Okay? So, what are the benchmarks? What is the main benchmark that the OASIS Forum is looking for this group of so-called people? What is the benchmark? Because nobody is addressing that question.
What is the benchmark that the court wants? Maybe that's also another thing. Because yes, the court did talk about that aspect as well, but now, what is the acceptable way of consulting the people, if not the method government took to institute or appoint a technical committee, went round the country.
Yes.
11,000 plus people made submissions. If that is not enough, what is required?
Exactly. That's that's the question. And when people take positions and dig in, that question cannot be resolved.
It can be resolved. It
can't be resolved. Because if you say 11,000 people submitted, it's possible for me to say, well, if it were 11,500, then I would have said, yes, the process is correct. And somebody else will come and say, no, if it is 12,000, at least you can say the process is correct. So why are we being pedantic? Why are we reducing the whole of this argument, to a subjective variable, which is not science? How many people, I would like to ask the viewers out there, how many people drew up the U.S. Constitution? How many people? Out of the population of 1.6, which constituted the 13 colonies that time, before it became the United States of America, the 13 colonies that constituted the Confederate state, the population of those 13 colonies was 1.6 million. That was the total population. The Philadelphia Convention that drew up the U.S. Constitution had 55 delegates. Was that process correct in terms of the numbers? The answer would ordinarily be no. 55 people, bakambile bantu bali 1.6 million. Nangabenda ngubanabasi ya branch. And even out of the 13 Confederate states, 2 states didn't attend the convention. They didn't have enough money, transport money, to give to the delegates to travel to Philadelphia. So the U.S. Constitution was formulated by 11 states, but finally ratified by all the 13. Even the ones that didn't go there received the document, debated it, and they said, yes, we ratify this document. So, 55 people. The NCC, under the Mungomba Commission, that followed the Mungomba Commission, had over 600 delegates. And there were still stakeholders that said, no, this is not people. This is not people. This is not what we want. A lot of them here are government employees. And therefore, government has an inbuilt majority when it comes to voting. 55 people drew up a constitution today which all of us say has stood the test of time. And it has only been amended 27 times since 1787. Actually, 89, finally 89. They started the process in 1787. It was ratified. The ratification, went up to 1789. 27 times when it has been amended in the life history of the U.S. of over 250 years. So, what is this thing that people stand on Mount Olympus, trying to mislead people?
So you mean, President Kabimba, that even those concerns Oasis Forum is raising do not carry water because it is difficult to ascertain which people need to be consulted for the Constitution to be amended?
Yes. What are the numbers?
But you're contradicting yourself because earlier on you said that you agree with the position that Laz has taken. You agree with the position that the conversational Bill 7 should not proceed because...
No.
Clarify that because that's my understanding.
No. I said, I have a problem about this issue of the process. The question that you asked me was on what the court said. I think that's a question that we were canvassing. What did the court say? And I said, in my own understanding, the court did not pronounce itself on
the content, the substance.
The substance of the proposed amendments, but on the process. Okay? Laz, as part of the Oasis Forum, has taken a position. And the position, as submitted by Council Langsani Zulu, is that the process, in fact, the argument is that the government is in contempt of court.
Yes.
Okay? The government is in contempt of court.
Do you agree with that thought?
Okay. But let me finish my train of thought. Now, assuming they are right,
Laz.
No, there was this forum.
Yes.
Plus Laz.
Yes.
Assuming they are right, what are they supposed to do? They are supposed to go back to court and say the Attorney General, who is the chief legal advisor to government, is in contempt of the judgment of this court. This is a democracy. So you use established institutions.
It was dismissed. They went to court. Some not to Oasis Forum, but another stakeholder also went to court.
So if you submit yourself to a tribunal of competent jurisdiction, if you submit yourself to court, and the court dismisses the matter, isn't that supposed to be the end of that matter? Surely it is. There must be some finality. And when we go to court, we are saying to court, you and I, that what the court is going to say, we shall abide by that decision. Okay? But it can't be your way or the highway. Okay? This is a democracy, and I find it rather sad that the Oasis Forum has taken a position of pronouncing itself as righteous, as the only organization that is representative of the people of this country.
You find it sad?
Yes, that they think that whatever they say is right and that is the correct position. The answer is no. When in Greece, where representative democracy started from, the Athenian democracy, as it is referred to, they used to sit in small groups originally. Then they reached a point where they said, look, it is becoming very difficult for us to sit because the group is growing. So it's becoming very difficult to bring everybody to come and resolve the issues of the city of Athens. So what do we do? Then they said, okay, why don't we just have representatives? Each group, interest group rather, in Athens would choose, representatives. Okay? And then come and meet. But those representatives would have consulted the larger groups from where they are coming from. So that's where the principle of representative democracy comes from. Okay? Now, if really you are a believer in democracy, and not anarchy, who are the representatives, of the Zambian people? It is not the Oasis Forum. It's not the church. It's not the labor movement. It is the elected members of parliament and the president.
But maybe from let me just get this clear from you, President Kabimba.
Yes.
From the legal point of view, do you think government is in contempt by taking the bill to the National Assembly despite the public outcry? Do you think they're in contempt, as Oasis Forum claims?
Oh, that's a claim. I'm glad you put it. I've answered that question, and I don't think that it's me to answer it in the form that, what I've said, I've qualified my answer. That if the Oasis Forum thinks it is right, and I'm not saying they are wrong, what should be the step which they should take? Okay? Because they are basing their position on the judgment of the Concord. So what is the position that they should take? The position they should take is to go back to court. But then you said, but the court already visited that issue of contempt.
But now the issue is government itself. Doesn't it know that the court ruled on this? Why go back on the matter that government already ruled? Isn't that contempt, legally speaking? Already made pronouncements on the process that needs to be followed.
Yeah, this is look. There is a sticking point here. There's a sticking point here, and the sticking point is that we are moving from the realm of social science into the realm of natural science. Now, in natural science, you deal with numbers. 1 + 1 is 2. Whether you're in America or you go to some island, in Haiti, where, it remains 2. In social science theories don't work like that. Okay? Social science theories don't work like that. So when we have facts before us, you are at liberty to apply your own theories to those facts and draw up conclusions from the facts. I also have the liberty to apply a totally different theory to the same facts, and I may draw up a different conclusion. Okay? That's a problem that we have here. And my submission is this, that unless we have a figure from our colleagues in the Oasis Forum that what they consider as the process of the people, unless they can describe it in some kind of language for us to understand, it becomes difficult to figure out whether they are right or they are wrong. I think that is my view.
Government, through State House, of course, has indicated that they'll treat the Oasis Forum as a political opponent because they believe that they are working, together with some opposition political parties. What's your view on that?
Look, the Oasis Forum idea was mooted during the Chiluba third term period. Okay? It brought together different groups of stakeholders. And I think it's important to know that at that stage, there was really no opposition in Zambia. I think it's important to make this point, which is an important point of history. At the time when President Chiluba wanted to go for a third term, I think the only breakaway political party or grouping, if I remember, would have been the National Party, which was born out of the MMD. So there was no opposition to talk about. So the only opposition that then arose was this consortium of stakeholders, the church, LAS, and other stakeholders, to whip up, the psyche of the people to oppose President Chiluba's bid, to amend the constitution. Because if they had not done that, the whole parliament was almost 100% MMD, except for the 21 seats that were held by UNIP. Okay? So the 2/3 majority was a foregone conclusion. Okay? The Oasis Forum now is operating in an environment where there are opposition political parties, the ones that they are inviting, to go and meet with them. Okay? And in so doing, the Oasis Forum is building another consortium beyond the Oasis, what we saw of the Oasis Forum in 1996. Okay? It has larger numbers now of stakeholders. Okay? But my view is that you can't treat a lobbyist organization, which I think the Oasis Forum should be regarded as an opposition political movement. And I know what made the State House make that statement. It was because of the reckless statement from my sister, the spokesperson of the Oasis Forum, Piut Katebe, when they
met the opposition.
When they met the opposition.
You call that statement reckless?
I think it was reckless because you can see what it has done. It has allowed other people to give the Oasis Forum a different complexion. Okay? It has allowed. She has struggled now trying to explain herself out. No, what I meant was this, what I meant was this, what I meant was this, And it takes me to the issue of language. Language is never neutral. So you have to be careful with your language. It is never neutral. And language will bring out your feelings even when you don't want to bring them out. So I think the Oasis Forum has found itself in a very awkward position. If you want, they have walked into the trap of their enemy. If you want were to use that metaphor. Okay? That's a problem. It will be very difficult for the Oasis Forum now and those that compose it to argue that they have arguments on merit. Okay? Because that statement was actually about regime change.
Yes.
That's what it was. And you can't be a lobbyist if you're advocating for regime change.
You can't be a lobbyist and advise the opposition to unite and be strengthened
so that you will defeat this person.
So that democracy is enhanced without.
No, that was not the statement. The statement was be strong so that because once you are strong, then then we can defeat this one. In other words, then we can change government. That's a regime change statement. That's not a lobbyist statement. That's a problem. And the Oasis Forum have themselves to blame for whatever interpretation that anybody would give to that statement. They have themselves to blame. And I've always advised people, it's important when you have serious matters to speak from a text. Because public speaking can be very difficult. You may end up saying something that you didn't want to say, or that you didn't intend to say. And that's what is happening now with that statement. No, what I meant or this, when I said, let's see, the opposition must unite, this is what I said, but you have already said it. So allow others to draw their own conclusions from what you said.
As we begin to wrap up the conversation, some lawyers have written to Laz calling for an extraordinary general meeting, says we need to be consulted. What is the process? Whatever statements that Laz makes, aren't you lawyers consulted?
No, the way Laz works is like this. Again, we go back to the principle of representative democracy. Okay? When the Legal Practitioners Act empowers, Laz, or gives the liberty to Laz to be part of the advocacy of the rule of law in the country. That's in the Act. So you hear from time to time Laz making statements and taking position on certain legal issues. They don't have to consult the members.
They don't have to consult the members?
No, the council is vested with that power. Okay? The council is vested. They may issue a statement as the Laz council, which I may disagree with in terms of interpretation. But you don't hear lawyers saying, no, I don't agree with you.
Oh, some lawyers have written. They've gone on rampage to national broadcaster. They've gone everywhere to discredit the position that Laz is taking.
Yeah, that's a recent development. Again, we're in a democracy. During the time, what Laz said was representative of me as a member.
So they don't have to consult all the lawyers.
No. But this particular issue is polarizing. Not only Laz, is polarizing the churches, is polarizing the parliament, is polarizing all groups of stakeholders. Okay? And therefore, the lawyers have a right to say, look, this is not a matter that we can leave to our council alone. We want you to test the waters and let's see if the legal fraternity is, as a member of the Oasis Forum, is in agreement with the position that has been taken by the Oasis Forum.
Yeah, but that has never happened, right? Where Laz has to consult all the members before they take a position on a matter.
No, not that it has never happened. I remember there was I think even during the NCC, I think there was a special general meeting that was held over that. Okay.
So the cause for from those three lawyers then carry water.
Yes, they're right.
They're right.
Yes, they're right. They're right to move the council. In fact, there is a meeting tomorrow. I saw a notice, from Laz. There's a meeting tomorrow at the Laz Secretariat at 15 hours, and this issue is on the agenda. The position taken by Laz vis-a-vis that of the Oasis Forum. So lawyers are very democratic. I'm proud to belong to an association, which is it's actually the most democratic, organization in Zambia today.
The most democratic.
Arguably
so.
Yes.
Arguably so.
Well, maybe I'm being selfish as a member.
But what's as we wrap up, what's your position as EF on this matter of Bill 7? What would your advice be to both the members of society that are supporting, the amendment of the Constitution and those opposing this for various reasons? What is your take? Because government seems to to be going ahead. We were told second reading is coming up soon, this very month.
Look, when I appeared before the technical committee, I can't remember the date, maybe 2-3 weeks ago now. I think the last day of their sitting. I remember the chairman asking me, are you here as a politician? Are you here as an individual? I said, both. I said, as a citizen, I have the right to be here. And as a member and leader of the economic front, I also have the right to be here. So I've come to submit to you wearing both those hats. Okay? So, we made our submissions on the substance of the proposed amendments.
The substance, yes.
Okay? On the substance of the proposed amendments. Look, Paul, if I don't like you as my member of parliament and I want you out, surely when the elections come, the decision I should not make is for me to boycott the election. The reasonable decision I should make is for me to come and cast a vote against you. Then I'll be a sensible voter who wants to see a new member of parliament come in. Okay? But if I'm going to sit back home and then you win, and then I start blaming your victory with the people that voted for you, then I'm not being fair, to those that voted for you, and you yourself as a member of parliament, I'll not be fair to them. So the view we took as the economic front was that we'll go and submit. Okay? And we didn't discuss the process. Because we thought that the process was a done deal. The court had pronounced itself on the process, and the government had acted in line with the judgment of the court. That is our understanding to date.
Government complied with the court.
Yes, that was our position. So then we said, this is going to be a record. Whether it succeeds in parliament or it doesn't succeed, that's a different issue altogether. Totally different. Okay? So we went and submitted on and unlike what people have said, I saw somebody on social media saying, oh, even the praise singer, referring to me, even in fact, he gave me a bigger position. He says the chief praise singer does not agree with the UPND. This is not about UPND. This is not about HH. This is about my country. That's the position I take. So those that want to reduce this to this parochial, cage, that this is about HH. So if I don't like HH, then I don't like Bill 7. Okay? If I'm in love with HH, then Bill 7 is my cup of tea. I don't look at life like that. This is not about HH. This is not about UPND. This is about the country. So I went and submitted. I disagreed with some of the proposed amendments. I agreed with some of the proposed amendments. Okay? And this is a matter of debate. So I'm at liberty to express myself and say, this I agree, this I do not agree. But it's interesting, when I say that this I don't agree, then I'm not a praise singer. I'm not a chief praise singer. If I say that, on this one, this is a reasonable and progressive amendment, then I'm a chief praise singer.
Because you're siding with them. That's the understanding.
I don't even know who the them are.
The guy, exactly.
Okay? I don't know. This is the point. This is not about them and me. No. That's not the point. This is where we're having it wrong. Okay? a debate over this matter is not about them and us. That is why, again, I go back, to the constitutional making process of the United States in Philadelphia. That is why they agreed that at the end of this project, we are destroying all the records. There's no record about that convention ever. Okay? And the Indians and the Indian Constitutional Assembly, when they were formulating their constitution, they complained about what the Philadelphia Convention did. If they had not destroyed those documents, would have learned something from there.
My time is up. My director is hinting that my time is up.
Yeah, the director is also very jealous about time. So, so I think this is where I have a problem. This is not about HH seated there and me seated here. No, this is about HH trying to persuade me and me trying to persuade the HH or the UPND. That's the role that all of us are playing. And if HH disagrees with me, it doesn't become my enemy. And if I disagree with him, I believe that I should not become an enemy.
EF is participating in by-elections or in the various elections coming up next year. Is EF participating?
Yes.
In the various elections,
yes.
Different levels.
Yes.
Presidential level, you're endorsing.
Once a chabe.
Despite being an alliance, you're participating at presidential
No. Again, I heard you in your introduction saying, who is an alliance, we have not yet signed an MOU with the UPND.
Okay.
The alliance.
You've not yet signed?
No, we haven't signed. You'd have seen it.
So you're not yet members of the UPND alliance as yet?
No, we are not yet, as yet, members of the UPND alliance. Okay? We are not as yet members of the UPND alliance. We've been talking, and I think we are still talking.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think that's very that's very important.
President Kabimba, always a pleasure having interactions with you. Thanks so much for